Welcome to the What's Your Weird Story podcast.
Everyone has at least one good story.
And some of us have stories that are just to the left of normal.
We're interested in the ones that push the boundaries of what we can perceive.
Stories that defy explanations.
Stories with an air of mystery.
Stories we might not share
for fear of being thought of differently.
But don't worry, we're all friends here. So, what's your weird story? Hello, Weirdsville. It's me, Adam Beebe, your friend, and with me is my friend, Barry Johnston, and we are the host of this here podcast you're listening to, What's Your Weird Story? It's where you tune in every week to listen to our friends and our new friends and old friends and people from all over tell their crazy, wild, weird, wonderful stories of true life experiences in this life. And man, this life is weird as we know it. We're living in some weird times right now for sure. But let's avoid all of that talk and talk about something that's even cooler. So Barry, first of all, hello.
Hey, what's happening?
Hey, proud papa. Tell us what happened. I realized that I hadn't introduced you. I had introduced you, but I hadn't said hello.
It's fine.
Tell us the good news, my friend.
Well, we had my son. He plays in Garber, Oklahoma, at the high school there, and they won the high school boys. Garber High School boys won the Class A state championship in basketball this last weekend. So pretty big deal. Yeah, pretty big deal, man. Pretty big deal. It's a big deal because they worked really hard. They worked really hard for it, and to see something like that happen, is that's something that they'll carry with them for the rest of their lives. And it's just an amazing thing. Yeah. So it was amazing, man. It was a lot of fun. I got a chance to go down. They hold the state tournament at the state fairgrounds, and we got to play Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I tell you what, the final game was double overtime, and we won by 2 points.
Really?
Yeah, we won by 2 points. It was so freaking close, man. And it was the type of game where it's like I would have loved to have won by 20. Just to. No worries, but it wasn't that game. If you're going to win a state championship, man, it might as well be, double overtime, win by 2, just the whole time, just biting your nails. It was so fun.
You want some drama, man. That's going to make the story so much better later on when you're told, because you can hype it up and exaggerate it so much more, give it so much more drama. That is awesome, dude. Congratulations. And put in sound effects when I did my clap earlier.
I will.
To make it sound like it's not just not just sad old me clapping on my own.
So we're ready we're ready for next year, man. We're getting ready. They're a young team, and so I'm hoping that we're.
What is he? Is he?
He's a sophomore.
Is he a sophomore?
Yeah,
or junior?
and he's a sophomore.
Oh man, yeah.
And we're losing a couple of seniors this year, but we're a pretty young team. So I'm knocking on wood, but we're getting geared up for next year. So yeah, super excited. Awesome. And also, my dad's birthday was yesterday, so I got to say that my dad's birthday was yesterday. Cool. And
shout out to Kurt. Well, it will be. A couple of weeks. It won't be yesterday. It'll be last week now.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
When the time this goes out.
Yeah.
So your dad's birthday was last week, huh?
Yeah. Yep. So that was cool.
Cool deal. Well,
and
say happy birthday to Kurt for me.
I will. He's doing well. He's funny as always. Just
did he ever get his tooth replaced there in the front?
He did, man. God, that thing, dude. It's been. I don't even know. He lost his. They give you a temporary, and that thing, dude. I think he got like 3 or 4 temporaries, because he kept losing it somehow. I don't know how you lose it, but it kept falling out. So,
Barry's Dad Kurt is a character to say the least. If you go and listen to our Father's Day episode from last year, you can hear some great stories about Kurt and also my dad and Jeff as well. So yeah, so that's cool. Also, you have to tell Kurt happy birthday for us.
I will. But concentrating on what we got coming up, we've got some return guests to the podcast we're pretty excited about.
Yeah, we've got actually over the next few weeks, we've got a string of return guests. And this week, man, we got a couple of clowns. Tell you what, and I mean that literally. Right. Yes. As you may recall from our Halloween episode memory special that we did with our buddy Tron and Birdshot, there was Scarlett and Jeremy and from the Cutthroat Freak Show, and they have just got back from being overseas, being clowns and entertainers in India and Mumbai for like 2 months. And they're here to share some stories of their adventures.
Yeah, this is great. We hope you guys enjoy it.
This is a perfect example of what we mean by, weird covers a lot of ground here on the What's Your Weird Story podcast. So they don't necessarily have ghosty stories or paranormal or supernatural, anything like that, but they just had these great weird adventures of being strangers, and not just strangers in a strange land, but being strangers than strangers in a strange land, being professional entertainers and clowns, and going over and experiencing a whole nother culture where they really stick out like a dozen sore thumbs. But man, they had a great time, and they shared some great stories. A couple we had to cut from being on air, because there could be, international incidents. Just kidding. Or am I? But yeah, it's really fun. There's a lot of interesting stuff that they got into, and they're sharing with us here. So, hey, Scarlett. Hey, Jeremy. Thank you for joining us once again. What's your weird story?
Dun, dun, dun! And now, a weird story. So, we were trying to talk before this started to figure out where we should start. And I guess at the beginning.
Yeah.
So we weren't even sure if we were going to be going to India. It was one of those gigs that we got through a friend of a friend that Jeremy had worked with before and that kind of thing. And it was one of those things we got a message hey, do you guys want to go to India in a month? And so, we're trying to figure all the details out. And then at the last minute, we were oh shit, everything went through. I guess we're actually going to India now.
I didn't believe it until I was actually at the airport and they let me on the airplane.
That's the way those things usually work,
I could only imagine the custom officials and the people screening all your luggage.
Yeah.
We were so careful about our luggage. We did not bring anything that looks like we might be up to anything.
That's good.
Luckily, we were able to get the supplies, and we recreated everything in the show over there. We didn't take any of it with us because the cost and even we don't know if it's legal to take a bunch of that stuff. So we were just it'll be easier and less stress all around to just make it when we get there. So that's kind of what ended up happening.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, and I was going to ask too. I guess we could get to this, but I was just thinking did you have to dial any of these acts back or take some things out? Because
okay.
It was the most dialed back show that I have ever done.
Okay.
It was so PG. It was cute.
Okay.
It was it was definitely not the show that you would see at a dive bar anywhere in the States.
Yeah, right.
So, right. We were doing a different version of our show, and we were kind of making we just tweaked what we already do, but made it appropriate for that kind of an audience, because it was like a restaurant where people were eating dinner, and then later on in the night, sometimes they would have some dancing or after party kind of stuff. But from the 8 o'clock hour was people all dressed up nice going out to dinner, and we were the live entertainment for the restaurant.
Wow.
Which was great. But they wanted us to fancy it up a little bit and no firecrackers on the nuts or anything.
No giant buttholes.
No, we had to class it up just a little bit.
I have done dirtier shows for kids' parties in the United States. India is timid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I could understand. Cool. I just wanted to get that out of the way because it was just a burning question I had.
Yeah, there was us, and then they had like other performers that would like come and go. So we're working with different people throughout the time we were there, but like they had a couple of like kind of burlesque go-go dancer girls, and they had to be like super covered, but still like, you know, we could wear cute sparkly outfits. It was just like you couldn't go down as far as you can here,
right?
Which was fine. I'm like, okay, this is easy.
Sure.
I'll save my tits for another day.
Now, did you find that difficult, or, you know, is that also a major adjustment?
Oh, no, I mean, it was pretty easy. It's just like the same stuff I'm already doing, just without the like striptease part of it. So pretty much, you know, dancing around, doing some sideshow tricks, and like they even wanted us to do like really cheesy stuff. You know, like there was one girl that did like a ribbon dance, and there was like, you know, like, I don't know. They didn't want it to be that extreme because people were eating and they were like, oh, we don't want it to be too gross or anything like you might see at like a dive bar or nightclub or something. They were like, no, this is a restaurant. Like, you can't be too gross. People are eating.
Right.
They were so worried about people's queasy stomachs and stuff. Or something. So we tried to keep it like real, like pretty sideshow as much as we could.
Nice.
They were wrong, though, because everybody that looked super freaked out was also the person that was sitting outside smoking cigarettes, and I got to do that all the time.
Right.
So I'd be out there smoking cigarettes with them, and they would be having a great time. I'd do extra shows outside on the porch.
That's cool.
With these people that everyone was so worried about.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. Well, you know, a lot of times it's all about, you know, what you can do on stage and what you can do just off a stage are completely different things. So, you know, so like, I guess Barry got us to jump ahead of ourselves. So you flew in, and it was like, how long was a flight was that?
Oh, man.
Too long.
I think, well, it was weird, too, because there was like a 10.5-hour time change. So the actual time in the airplane to go there, we flew from, I think from Charlotte to New York, and then we were doing the big flight to India from there. But we had like a 12-hour layover there and like some other weird delays. So like we had already been in transit for like almost a day when it came time to actually go on the flight, and then I think the flight was around 14 or 15 hours.
That's a long trip.
Right, but you're also time traveling like 10.5 hours.
Right.
So
it took about 2 days of airport.
Yeah.
Wow.
Damn.
Man, I bet you took a long nap when you finally got on the ground. So
kind of. We got there, and like however many days we'd been flying backwards in the sky or whatever, we got there right as the sun was like starting to come up. So it was
brains
like,
all fried from 2 hours or 2 days of airport, and just getting down and having this driver pick us up and seeing the weird shit of India for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell have we got ourselves into? The ride from the airport to the neighborhood we lived in was gnarly.
Was it?
That must have been very surreal.
Like, oh no.
Because
I'm going to have to shit bag this whole mission.
There's not much traffic law, right?
It's actually fine, but the ride is like terrifying.
Crazy.
Like, what am I going to have to go through?
So what part of India were you in?
We were in Mumbai, which used to be Bombay.
Okay.
And we were in the neighborhood that we were staying in was Baikala, yeah. And we found out later on in our time there that people would ask us where we were staying, and we'd say Baikala, and they would be like, oh no, like that was some kind of dangerous or slummy area. And we were like, yeah.
Those are my peeps. So how many people live in that area? Do you know?
In Mumbai?
Yeah.
24 million people.
God dang.
That's just a little bit bigger than our.
And there's a good portion of them that just like sleep in the streets and the sidewalk. Like every time you walk anywhere, you have to step over at least a dozen people to get what you want.
Wow.
Right.
Like if you're looking for like a Red Bull or a Coca-Cola or some whatever the fuck, you got to step over some people that like don't have legs.
Wow.
And a lot of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Was there did you find a lot of language barrier problems while you were there?
Not really.
Okay. Because I figured
they really pride themselves on learning how to speak English.
Yeah.
So
I guess
there's definitely a class system.
Yeah.
And, the poorest of them don't speak a word of it. I don't know why, but they don't. But most of the people, yeah, they speak at least enough. If not, there's some weird sign language where they'll like point to their mouth with their hand and then open it up in front of you, trying to look for food or food money.
Right.
Little kids will grab a hold of your hand and like follow you for blocks and blocks and blocks. Like, I need milk. No, you don't. You're like 12 years old. This is just a hustle you remember from when you did need milk.
Right.
So, but there's probably a lot of...
It's annoying and depressing.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. So, a lot of people do a lot of just street hustling. It seems like any, big place where, like... I guess tourists, but foreigners go. Where foreigners seem to be pretty, they most places. If you're an obvious foreigner, you tend to be a target because they think you have money because you're obviously not from there. So that's probably what I would imagine that was going on there. So
yeah, there's some of that for sure, but there's also a lot of hooking you up. Because you're from somewhere else. Like I experienced both. People hooked me up and like helped out, but like walking around outside the neighborhood, they didn't know anything about anything. They were just starving.
Yeah, mass poverty.
The other people that hooked me up, they hooked us up real good. So awesome. Real bipolar.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. All right. So, so you land there. You've arrived at your, your digs, your home for the time. How long were you guys there?
We got there, I think, like on December
18.
Yeah, December 18. We started traveling, and then I think we left on February 1st. So, like a month and a half, I guess.
Wow.
Ish.
Something like that.
Yeah, we spent Christmas and New Year over there, which was wild.
That's awesome.
Oh, I can imagine. So what? Give us your highlights. Give us your, you take us where you want to go.
Okay, there's so many things. Let's see. Okay.
It's time for that Mercedes story.
Oh, shit. Maybe. I don't know. I wanted to save that one for later. Unless you want to go with that one. Okay. So like the first week that we were there, we really didn't have that much to do. So we went out exploring the city and stuff. We went to some museums and like, we went to this little area where like people take ferries around in the water and like look at stuff. And for some reason, because we were like obviously foreigners or something, everyone wanted to take their picture with us. So like anytime we went to go do touristy activities, there would just be like endless lines of people wanting to like say hi and have pictures taken, and like they weren't even asking for money or anything. They just wanted to like say what's up, which was really cool at first, but then it got to be overwhelming really quickly.
Right.
You're really into the whole idea of holy shit, you're not from here.
Right.
It's really rare over there.
Right.
Now, were you all in your clown makeup, or were you in your civvies or whatever?
No, just like no.
Yeah,
makeup.
we still look weird in our
I mean,
but like not that weird, but
yeah. There's some tattoos and bright hair, and like we kind of stand out even if we don't have makeup on. They can tell something's up.
Yeah.
So I think the first time we went down there, we met a lot of people, and then we ended up meeting these two people who like were kind of more chill and like not as overwhelming as all the picture crowds. So like we were trying to find some weed over there, and we were like, man, we just need to meet some homies. And so like we met these two homies and went back to smoke with them at their place, which ended up being across the city in one of those like little like shack towns.
Yeah.
So we made some really cool friends who lived in one of those shack towns, and like they hooked us up with weed, and like they brought their families out to meet us, and like they cooked us dinner, and like this crazy amazing hospitality from people that like don't have very much to begin with, and it was really, really nice.
Wow.
it was amazing. Like the price we paid for the weed was like, it seemed like a friend price, even over there, where people would probably take advantage of you. And
Right.
people are like, they've got a whole bunch of pigeons, like all like put up against every wall of the outside of their house.
Uh-huh.
And everyone's trying to find things to feed the pigeons. Everyone's like coming over with their thing. I met a dude that was brewing his own booze somewhere, and nobody wanted to drink it.
How did it
Drank
taste?
some. It was great.
What was
It
it?
was like
He had said something about moonshine, and so he said that he brews sunshine, and he brought me a glass of sunshine, and yeah, it was great.
Wow.
It was great. It'll fuck you up. They were saying that like don't drink that if you're drinking beer also, because it'll be too much to handle. Right? And you like they mix it with like fruit juice or like some kind of thing, and it
Okay.
tastes really sweet. And you can't tell that you're drinking their version of some moonshine, but it
Right.
will mess you up really
Wow.
bad.
Some kind of 20% alcohol or something.
That's
It's
cool.
easy to drink.
That's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool.
Okay, so this was really cool. There were lots of cats and dogs there. Like the feral cats and dogs that just lived there were really friendly, and it wasn't like over here where like you can't get close to them or anything. Like they'll come right up to you. You can pet them. We made some really cool dog and cat friends there. I was like sneaking the cats some breakfast buffet, like some little eggs and sausage and stuff. And yeah, it was wild. But on almost the last day, like right when we were about to come home, we went to this like old area that was like maybe an hour away from the city, and it was like these ancient caves that had been there since like the 1st century or something, like some old shit. And they were like caves and like temples carved into the side of the hill, like all on it. And down like at the bottom of the hill was just like over 100 tiny little monkeys. And I think they were like maybe the capuchin ones, but I'm not sure. But they were all these tiny little monkeys, like babies and big ones and all kinds of monkeys. And they were just playing, and like they were also really friendly. They'd come up to you if you had food and try to take your food, and like they would try to take your sunglasses. So we just bought the monkeys a bunch of food and like just fed them for a while. It was crazy.
Those little things
They were
are
just wild. They were
yeah.
just wild monkeys, man.
Just wild monkeys, but they're like at the park, so they're used to a lot of people
Right.
coming there, and like they know that people are going to feed them and stuff, so they just like will come up and say what's up. I had a monkey like pulling on my dress because I had some food and he wanted it, and he just wouldn't let go. He was just like, hey, no, your food. He was really persistent. And he was like making little chatters at me, like it was crazy.
Monkeys are freaky, man. Little freaky little dudes.
They are. Trying to run off with your sunglasses and shit too.
Right, right.
Like, you're not even going to wear those. Come on.
Barry, have you had a bad experience with a monkey? Is that what I'm getting?
Well, they're scary, man. You know, they look cute, man, but golly, like a chimp can just rip your face off, man. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, quite literally.
Yeah. Yeah, they're scary. I mean, these guys were smaller, but still, like,
they're
they
so
all
smart.
decided they wanted to sit.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Are.
Just think if they could like, you know, like conjure up a scheme, you know, like 100 monkeys just attack you, man. They could do some damage, man.
Oh no, we wouldn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
I don't know why they just don't like overrun the food cart and take all their food. Like, there's enough of them. Just they gotta swarm it all at once.
Right.
That's why we're better.
Right. That's right.
We're not swarming the food cart either.
Just think if you had if monkeys had the personalities or mindset of cats, we'd all be screwed.
Oh my God.
We'd all be screwed.
Oh man, a monkey with the head of a cat?
Oh, man.
Nah, man.
Didn't we?
You might have just started the whole story writing of a plot to a movie.
Genetically
Like, I mean,
modified monkeys.
That's more interesting than like snakes on a plane or whatever.
Well, you know, I've always felt cats walked around on two legs. You know, we'd all be in trouble because they'd be carrying knives and they would just kill us. They'd just kill us all.
Yep.
Even though they were
already carrying at least 11 or 12 knives.
It's true.
So cool. So you went to the monkeys and the street animals. That's just, I don't know. That's just really that's so. It's cool. It's sad because it's sad because they don't have homes. But I mean, the monkeys need to be out in public and everything is. But the cats and the dogs, it's sad that they don't have homes. But if they are behaving like that, the way they are, it seems like, it's good because it seems like they're being, they're not being treated poorly.
That's sort of the Indian.
What is a monkey home? What are you talking about? What is a monkey home?
I'm not allowed to discuss the monkey home on the air.
All right.
There's some things we just have to say off the air.
Yeah.
Hit me with that once we get off it.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's kind of the Indian way of life. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like they kind of just allow animals to just do their thing, right? I mean, they don't interfere too much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like people were taking care of them, though. Like, there were always people leaving food out for the animals, and, like, it seems like they were loved, even if they weren't, like, house pets. They were, like, community outdoor animals.
Right.
And, and, like, there were, you definitely...
Everybody was dropping off a little something for every single animal and, like, a homeless person.
Wow.
Like, people are homeless, too.
Yeah, like, there's one of our friends was telling us that there's a guy around that area, and his thing is he just goes around and feeds a bunch of the stray dogs and makes sure if any of them are sick that they get like taken care of. And so like they're being watched out for. I think I feel pretty okay about the stray animals there.
Good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, all of those stray animals were in good health. I didn't see anything that was in bad shape.
That's awesome.
Which is weird.
That is
all
weird.
All the people were.
Yeah, right?
Barry, what do you think that people find the most far-fetched? Ghost stories or aliens as being the more unbelievable?
I would say aliens.
I would agree with that probably too, because I think with ghosts, there's a part of the belief system that is abound throughout the world, and we want to have some kind of assurance of some form of life after death.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with aliens, it's unknown for sure. It's completely unknown. We have only our imagination. We don't have a lot of universal stories that we agree upon that these things exist, maybe.
To believe in aliens is to believe that we are not the sole existence of this world, which goes against a lot of belief systems.
It definitely does. But the great thing about what we're doing here is we are open to all your stories about ghosts or aliens or anything in between or anything outside of. We're not here to judge. We're here to just talk and to share. And we don't want you to think you're crazy because you're not.
Is it that time?
Let's see. Oh, okay. So next thing could be the weird betel nut drugs. Is it time for betel nut drugs?
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
Betel nut.
So there was this thing that we noticed pretty soon after getting there that there was all these red spit stains on everything, like on the ground and the roads and everything. And they have this version everywhere. And there's big no spitting signs. Some of them are covered in like this red spit. So we were like, what's up with this spit? And it turns out that there's this thing that I think they call it like Sweet Bon, and it's a combination of like betel nuts and then this leaf, and you chew it together and it makes your like gums red and everything. But it has
and they put some tobacco in it sometimes.
Huh.
Yeah.
They sell it on like every corner. And you can get just like this one leaf rolled up with some fucking betel nuts and some tobacco and some other thing. I never figured out what it was. They mix it like a potion. They put a bunch of goop on it from jars, and they sprinkle a bunch of spices and things on it to make it like, it's kind of menthol-y but sweet at the same time. They put all these flavors on it. But it's like got this upper property, and a lot of the like cab drivers chew it to stay awake. And people are like, oh, if you chew this, you won't sleep. So it's like their upper. It's like way stronger than coffee, but maybe not quite like blow level. But it's like somewhere in the middle of coffee and blow. They've got this weird nut that they chewed it to get all hyped up and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's the Indian. They don't have truckers there that much, but it's the Indian taxi speed.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's weird.
So it's like a. So it's an,
if you stop at
Indian Red Bull.
Kind of.
Right. Red Bull is way more expensive than Bon.
Red mouth. Red mouth.
Like if you wanted to get a Red Bull, that would be like 200-300 rupees. But if you get some Bon, that's like 20.
Wow. And that's and it's legal or not legal?
It is.
It's legal but discouraged.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
So it's like tobacco or whatever here, vaping now. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. Maybe a little bit more discouraged.
Okay.
Still just as legal.
Interesting. That's cool.
Yeah. So of course we had to try some, and it was very disgusting. It was the grossest shit in the world.
It tastes terrible. Makes you spit like crazy.
Do you eat it or do you spit it out?
You spit it out.
Okay.
And like some people say it's okay if you swallow some of it, but like I wanted to spit it out as fast as possible. And then it does something to your mouth where like you just salivate for like the next 30 minutes. Even after you spit it out, you just like can't stop spitting.
Damn.
It was really gross, but like of course you got to try it, right?
Of course.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
When in Rome.
Yeah. Or Mumbai.
Or Mumbai, right?
Yeah.
What are they doing wrong?
I don't know. What's their version of bomb?
Oh man, I don't know. I bet they got one though.
It's probably something you got to snort.
Because they do like I know in South America they chew on the cocoa leaves, like that's their thing, and same deal. Like the coffee farmers or the whatever, I guess they chew. Like I've heard they chew on that and take their break, like coffee breaks, but they're chewing on leaves, so makes sense.
Yeah, everybody does in some areas.
Right.
Oh yeah, man, it's good for your lungs too. With that high elevation.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. You're supposed to chew that. And then they give, I know that for the high elevation, one other thing that they give people, they just started doing this, is that you take Viagra in the higher elevation because that's help you out somehow.
Really?
Not just, keep a boner, but yeah. I remember seeing that on Top Gear several years ago. They were in the Andes, and they took Viagra for the fight. Oh, it's a fight out. It helps out with altitude sickness.
Wow,
altitude sickness.
Just a bunch of.
Did you know that
chewing on some Viagra? Oh, you don't chew it; you swallow it. But I mean, I guess you could chew. Probably want to swallow. So.
Just a bunch of white dudes walking around the mountains with hard-ons.
Yeah.
I have never been to Machu Picchu with a hard dick. I'm gonna have to use
It's
that.
time to give it a try.
That's it's the coke leaves in your mouth, man. And sounds like a good weekend, I guess.
You want to go with me?
I think I'm busy that day.
I don't know how to take that question. Yeah. Cool. So,
Cool, yeah, we got it. We got it all together.
so sweet knob. What
Sweet knob.
Sweet knob. Sweet knob. N-O-B. Sweet knob.
We never figured out how it was spelled. It's pronounced like Bon, but we don't know if it's with a B or a P. Could be either one, or maybe both. Maybe
I know how to say it to them. Bon.
There you go. Like,
but it's kind of a B and a P at the same time.
If you look kind of tweaked out, they'll know what you're talking about.
Hey, man, let me get some Bon.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
Speed Bon.
Is that about as crazy as they get over there? With
No.
okay.
No, there was
That seems like a great.
Okay, so now I think this is a good segue for the crazy story.
Okay.
Yeah,
that we
go
were
ahead.
like before we got on here, we were like, should we tell that one or no? So if you need to edit it out, completely
Yeah.
understand. But
Oh,
it's
please.
a crazy
You can
story.
always
Do it.
You can always tell us which ones to
Yeah.
edit out, which to play. You got a couple of weeks leeway here. So.
Right? So this is maybe the most scary thing that happened there. Because everything else was pretty mild and like weird and stuff, but this was the only time that I was ever scared when I was over there. So there was one night when we had worked like kind of a double. So we had like done a show at the one club, we'd gone to a different after party, done another show, and then we were like still like excited to do stuff. So then we got invited to this other after party that was like, oh no, wait, I'm mixing my nights up. But anyway, this is
No, you're right.
no, because it was two different nights. One of them was good and one of them was a disaster. Okay, so this night we had done something. We were still dressed up or whatever, and we had ended up getting on the list to go to like this nightclub, like De Club kind of style club where people are like, and it's
They play music you don't like, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Right.
So we were still in costume, and we were like, yeah, let's go to the club and see what happens. And so we walk in, and like there's maybe only an hour left before it closes. So like this is like the end of the night thing. We walk in, like people come up to us and offer us drinks, and it's too loud to talk to anyone. So we like, we go to somebody's booth and we get like bottle service and all this stuff, and it's great, and like we're having a good time. And then like the club closes and everyone's got to go. So like one of the other performers had just gotten there, and she was like, I want to find some after party. Like, let's keep partying. So we were kind of like trying to talk to some people and see like who we should go party with next. And I
wasn't drinking that much because I was on the job. And usually I drink way too much. Right. But I was on the job that night. So I wasn't really fucking with it.
Well,
I fucked with it a little bit.
So we were trying to figure out like where to go next or whatever. And this one dude was like, well, I have a house that's like over in this neighborhood that was like pretty close. And so he was like, come over and like have some drinks there or whatever. And so we were like, okay, that sounds fine. Like, that's kind of chill. We'll do that for a couple hours and then go back. But what ended up happening was we got in his car and we realized pretty soon that he was way too drunk to be driving. We were like, oh no, but we're just going across town, right? No. So he ends up deciding that he wants to drive 40 minutes outside of the city to try to find some drugs. And we were like, no. So we're on this crazy, like, middle of the night after parties mission with some stranger we just met at the club who was clearly too drunk to drive. And I think he had already done all his drugs and needed to find more. So, like, he was also we were like, oh, no. And so we ended up on this
crazy-ass motherfucker that we had just picked up sitting in the right rear seat. And she was like losing her goddamn mind.
Oh, we were all quietly screaming on the inside for that whole thing. At one point, we were like, "Okay, do we just bail on this?" And then we're like, "No, we're like 40 minutes out of town. We probably need to get back, and like we might not want to try to take a cab that far." So we were on this mission, and like we were like, "Okay, we either bail or we try to see if we can go home with this guy and just hope he doesn't crash into anything." So I don't know. Do you have? I'm sure there's more of the story too. It gets worse.
At one point on the way to approximately where we were going, this dude pulls over. He's like, "All right, we're gonna get these drugs at McDonald's." There's a McDonald's in the way outside of Mumbai. Okay.
And apparently that's like the meetup spot. So.
It's universal.
So, like, we're supposed to be going to that spot. But before we get there, he hits a scooter on the way. But there's, like, this whole scooter gang. And so he hits this scooter and, like, knocks a mirror off or something that doesn't really matter that much in Mumbai because everybody's knocking mirrors. Like, the traffic is so thick.
Right.
But this scooter motherfucker gets real mad and chases us down. And I had to get out of the car to pee. Like, it was important. I didn't know how far I was going. So I get out of the car to pee, and I come back and get back in the car. And then the whole scooter gang had been following the car the whole time. And they're mad as hell.
And rightly so. Like, the guy we were with was a maniac who was way too fucked up to be driving, and the scooter gang was totally in the right. But it's also scary to be getting chased by a scooter gang. It was like, yeah, this guy fucked up. We're not really with him. We don't even want to be here.
Right.
But also, like, we need to get out of here.
Well, I mean, you're not going to kick my ass, so I got to be loud. So everybody in the car, except for the driver, jumped out mad as fuck. Like, ready to swing. Like, I thought I was going to break my knuckles on somebody's helmet.
Oh, man.
Like, everybody was like, we got to protect our spot, right? Even though we don't care about this spot.
So so how many people were in the scooter gang, and were they like circling around you and like, you know, like your wagon train?
It was just like you would imagine from like an 80s movie.
It was dumb as fuck.
Showdown in Mumbai.
Just the weirdest, maddest people jumping out of the car.
All right. So what happened? Did you end up throwing down with the scooter gang, or was it like resolved, or you know, did you make it to McDonald's? I mean,
eventually we intimidated them all the way off of our tail, and we made it to the McDonald's where the drugs were supposed to be.
But I think the driver might have given him some money too. I want to think that he did, to try to be like, I'm sorry, I'm a dick here, just take this money, let us go. And I don't know how much he gave them, but I think that was also part of it. I don't know, though. But we were all yelling, like, hey, we don't want any trouble. Get out, get the fuck out. So, like, eventually we did make it to the McDonald's, but, like, there was never any drug meetup. So we just sat around and awkwardly had some, like, some not burgers, because there's, like, no beef in India. So the burgers were made out of some, like, it was like a chicken patty or something. So we had some burgers at, like, you know, by this point it's like, what, like 6 a.m, and we're like, well,
oh yeah, I checked them out before we got to the burgers.
oh yeah. So, like, after we were finally, like, we were away from the biker gang drama, and like we had made it to the McDonald's, and this guy was still kind of being an asshole. And we were like, yeah, you didn't tell us you were bringing us like 40 minutes out of town. And we were like, we want to go back. Like, there's no one's meeting us here. Like, we just want to go home. This is kind of not what you told us was happening. And we were kind of like getting a little upset with him. And like, we were trying to figure out what we should do. And at one point he does something or whatever. And Jeremy just like starts about to choke him out, like, hey, knock it off, fucker, you know?
Yeah, I just, held that like thumb palm against his arteries right there.
Yeah.
And just waited until his face turned red a little bit and he started to feel limp, and I let him back, and then back and forth for a little bit right before we got into McDonald's. Like, I didn't put him out.
Right. Just letting him know what's up. So that's
been into it.
So that's probably, I can imagine, one of those points when you're like, okay, I'm in a fucking foreign country in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I have no idea how to get the fuck back where we need to go. That's scary shit.
So right after I got to like half choking this dude, I was starting to think, like, maybe he's going to be mad at me in a minute, but he left the keys in the ignition, and he's got a car. And so I was like, should we steal this motherfucker? That's the most I have ever thought about stealing a car.
Right.
I think that was a legitimate thought to cross everyone's brain at that moment, man.
No, I'll just go eat this weird chicken burger that they got way the hell out of Mumbai.
Yeah, it was not Grand Theft Auto Mumbai. But it was like,
I did not steal a car there.
No, but it was a crazy enough night that like anything could have happened, and we were like, of course we don't want to be driving around with a stolen car either, because I don't know, that just sounds bad.
Yeah.
Especially
and plus you probably had no fucking clue where you were,
and they probably called whatever the police thing.
Oh yeah. We didn't want to be driving a car that was just involved in a hit and run either.
Yeah, no shit.
Because the biker gang totally took pictures of his license and probably called it in and stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, the plates or whatever, you know, we were like, oh, yeah, we don't want to be with this guy because at some point someone's going to come looking for him and be like, hey, you did this thing last night? You're in trouble now?
No kidding.
So we were like, we need to get away from this dude before, this shit comes down. And then, like, the ride back was terrifying, too, because he was, like, going as fast as possible and, like, you know, dodging in between all this traffic and everything.
Going the fastest of all of the driving that I experienced in India.
Damn.
And the whole time, like, screaming at me, why did you strangle me?
He was mad.
That's hilarious.
Oh my god. So yeah, we didn't die, but it was like a white knuckle ride for like 40 minutes back into town of just like this.
Damn.
Just like, what the fuck?
Damn.
Oh man.
But he did drop us off right where we live.
Hey, well there you go.
And that scared the fuck out of me. I don't want you to know where I live.
Right.
No, but it was weird too, because even after that, like, he kept hitting up one of the other people there that night and being like, so when are we going to come and party? That was fun. Let's do that again. Like, come to my house in this totally other city and have a rave and like all this shit. And it was like, he just didn't get it that like we weren't friends after that.
Right.
He was just like, oh, no, that was fun. Let's do it again.
Damn. I like getting choked out. Let's do it again.
Yeah, let's do it again.
Hey, no kink shaming. Anybody out there who does like to get choked out? Not my thing, but hey, you know. Yeah.
So we were all fucking pissed off when we got let out of his car. This, like, whatever Mercedes that has, like, lights in it on the inside. Like, he's trying to be the best Uber driver in the world, putting, like, cheap LED lights on the inside of everything. And it's a Mercedes, but nothing works in it.
Right.
But he dropped us off at where we live. And me and Scarlett have been talking shit like, what are we gonna do to this? Like, we're trying to think about like where our weapons at, and we didn't bring any because we had just like come from the show.
That's probably for the best, honestly.
Yeah, we didn't kill a motherfucker. But on the way out, we're trying to think about, well, shit, I don't even have keys on me because like I don't need keys for where I'm going. It's all plastic cards.
Right.
And so Scarlett couldn't find anything to deface the outside of his car with, and I couldn't either. And eventually Scarlett did.
we totally
So we just
not...
took some markers to all the fuck over everything we could fucking find on the outside
hold on.
and the inside
We totally
of his car.
did not take markers to this dude's car, which was the most fuck you that we could come up with at that point.
Right.
Fuck you.
Oh man, that's cool.
I got a lot of trouble when I was 4 years old for taking markers to the wall and to the lamp and to the TV and to everything. I mean,
Yo, if that motherfucker had a hood ornament, I'd have got it.
man, that's wild.
That's crazy stuff.
Yeah. That was definitely the most intense thing that happened there. There was a lot of other fun stuff, but that was like as extra as it could get, I think.
Hey, that's a nice t-shirt you got on there.
Oh, thanks, dude. It's brand new. Do you like that? It's one of the official What's Your Weird Story t-shirts.
Where'd you get that?
It's funny that you ask. I just got it off the brand new Spreadshirt.com site for the What's Your Weird Story podcast. There's no www. You just go straight to shop.spreadshirt.com/what's without the apostrophe WHATS hyphen YER-WEIRD-STORY, and that'll take you right there.
I mean, you can never own enough clothing.
Well, it's true, Barry. There's t-shirts for the ladies because, they're cut differently. There's hoodies, which are really cool. There's two different kinds of hoodies, and there's also tote bags, so you can tote your stuff.
That's so cool, man.
So if you guys go out to Spreadshirt.com, What's Your Weird Story, currently there are 2 designs, but there will be more going up very soon. So just keep your eyes out for that. And if you decide to get one of our shirts, tag yourself on Instagram to ours or Facebook. Show your love. Show us what you got. Let's see your true colors.
So when you guys, who brings you over there for the shows? Do you have a promoter or something that brings you over, or these are just people that give you
That's us.
a gig over there, and one thing leads to another?
Kind of. It's like we got this gig because there was somebody that Jeremy had worked with before, and me like a little bit, but somebody contacted this person to like set up some club shows because they like had seen that kind of thing in other clubs and were like, hey, can we do this style entertainment here? And they were opening up like a new restaurant and wanted to have like international performers. So they hit this person up, and then they hit us up, and like some other people from like around the world. So there was just like
mostly Europeans. They really wanted Europeans.
Yeah,
Okay.
they promoted the club when we first got there as like, performers from London, and no one was from London, but
Right.
that's how they were like selling it.
They told people, I'm from London.
Yeah, the first promo for like the first event that happened when we got there had a picture of him, and it said the Irish Freak, and we just giggled for like 20 minutes. We're like, what the shit?
That's funny. The Irish Freak. That is hilarious. It's
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I can ride with that. Sure,
Right.
I'm Irish now.
Right.
Yes.
That's
We
funny.
can get my Lucky Charms.
Oh man, there's some Muslims over there in India, so I don't know if I can eat Lucky Charms. Those things have pork
Right.
things in them.
Do they? Oh, yeah.
Oh, I don't know. There was plenty of pork around. They just didn't have any beef. But they had like lots of chicken and pork and seafood and like everything else, just no beef stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah. The Hindus
Yeah.
don't eat beef, and then the Muslim population doesn't eat the pork. So besides, almost Grand Theft Mumbai, what else did you guys do for your entertainment besides, the you went to the museums, you did the regular normal stuff. So after the first week, when you've done all that, what else did you end up doing?
Oh man, let's see. I don't know. After the first week, it was like it was kind of like chill. We explored the neighborhood that we were staying in, like went to eat at all the little restaurants and like checked out the little like bar spots and stuff.
That neighborhood was really intimidating when we first got there. I can only speak for myself, but I did not want to walk out there the first day. It is like insane with the traffic and the people that are like doing this thing for money. They like open their hand and then like pinch their hand and put it toward their mouth. But it's just relentless, and the traffic is insane. I've never seen traffic as bad as there, so I didn't want to go out for the first like couple days.
That makes sense.
And I think the first mission that I took was to go to the zoo with you, right?
Yeah, there was a zoo that was down the street from where we were staying. And, I'm like looking on the little map and trying to see what's around to do. And I'm like, oh, a zoo, let's check that out. So we go to the zoo. This is like week 1, I think. And they have like, we go look at the prices for admission, and they have like a separate price if you're a foreigner. And it says like foreigner price and then like local price. And there's like a big jump, I think, because they know that like the money transfer is different. And, like, they're just like, hey, pay the equivalent price, but in your money. So like it was like, a few hundred rupees or something, which still wasn't very much. So we go in the zoo, and it's like there's not that many animals there. And a lot of it's like getting rebuilt and it's under construction and stuff. But what they did have was a really cool penguin exhibit. And that was like the main part of their zoo was the penguins.
Wow.
And
bullshit. Bullshit.
So I don't know if you guys know this about Jeremy, but he tries to convince people everywhere we go that penguins aren't real. They just don't exist. They've never existed.
Motherfucker, you said that in public that I'm trying to convince people.
Oh no, he is convincing them. It's working.
Penguins are not real. If you've ever seen a penguin, let me know. I'll tell you how it's not working. There's no penguins. Bullshit. Fucking zoos. That's just how they get people in. Antarctica. Bullshit.
So after a long time of him doing this, at one point we realized that like emperor penguins are 6 feet tall, and so is Jeremy. And they kind of walk like this, and we noticed him walking a little bit like that too. So then we came up with a counter conspiracy that he is a penguin. So we go to the zoo and we look at the penguins, and like we come out, and I'm like, haha, it will be funny if I take your picture next to this like penguin that's painted on the wall. So I'm like taking the picture, and all of a sudden all these people from the zoo start coming up to us and like wanting to take our picture. And like more than the other place maybe, but like we're like, this is kind of weird. And then after a while, the owner of the zoo comes out to meet us and like shakes our hand and stuff. And all the security guards and like zoo attendants and everyone is like
super fucking stoked about it.
Really stoked. And we were like, what is happening? And I'm like, Jeremy, it's because you're a penguin. They've never met a real one before.
That's great.
And so it turns out that eventually somebody told us what was up, and there's this show about snakes, and it's called Snake City, I think. And like there's two people who, it's like a man and a woman, and like she's got pink hair and they both got tattoos, and we looked them up, and they don't really look like us, but they look enough like us. If you're not used to seeing like people with lots of tattoos, like in pink hair, they're like, it's definitely those same people.
Right.
And so everyone thought they were taking their pictures with celebrities.
Wow.
And at some point they might figure it out if they like look it up, but they were really stoked in the moment, and we had no idea what was happening.
That's great. That's hilarious.
I'm gonna have to do some digging and find the Snake City.
There. Yeah, it's a National Geographic show.
Cool.
I
found him. Oh, that's totally you guys. So, were you carrying a snake at the time?
No, we should have been.
We considered figuring out how to get a snake that day. Because I have sold pictures of people holding snakes in the past.
That's pretty awesome. So you guys, man, you could have milked that so much, but
that's great. Well, that's great.
They thought they had the Snake City people, but really they had
they were white, so I guess they fit that.
White and tattooed, yeah.
Right.
But really they had the king of all penguins.
That's great.
Hey Barry,
yeah.
Have you ever seen a goat sucker?
What?
Goat sucker, chupacabra.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever seen one of those?
I haven't seen one personally, but I've heard about them.
Yeah, me too. If anybody's got a goat sucking story, if you got a goat sucker story, we want to hear it. If you got a Bigfoot story, we want to hear it. If you got a Loch Ness Monster story, or a Lake Champlain story, or Ogo Pogo story, or an Oingo Boingo story. Wait, that was an 80s band. Anyway, you got a weird cryptid story, we want to hear it.
I didn't even know what a cryptid was, man.
Yeah, dude, cryptids. They're like the animals that haven't been necessarily proven by science. They're the ones on the edge. They're not necessarily known animals, but they're known animals. We don't have the bodies or anything like that. So they're kind of like half myth, half story, based in reality, but still in that weird mystery area that we don't know about yet. Cryptids are fun.
Those traffic laws, they're not really traffic laws, right? Over there? That's why it's so crazy, right?
They're kind of like suggestions, maybe. Like there's lines on the road, but people don't really keep in them very much. It's sort of just like a mishmash of wherever you want to go.
Right.
But like all the cars there, like there's some of the same size cars as we have over here, but a lot of them are these little like mini cars. Like they're narrower and taller, so you can fit more of them in the road. So like even on like a 2-lane size street, there'll be 3 lanes of traffic, and then like there's people on scooters that are going along the shoulder, kind of like making their own lane.
Golly.
And it's not uncommon for there to be like three or more people on a scooter just piled up, like whole families like on a scooter at the same time, or people like carrying big things while they're driving it. Like nuts. They're so good at it. Like there was this like woman on the one in front of us one time, and she was like sitting side saddle in her sari, and she was like texting on her phone, not holding on to anything, just bouncing around on the back of the scooter, like not falling off or even getting a shit, like so good at it.
It's like Oklahoma in the 80s. People riding around the back of trucks, not giving a fuck, bouncing down the road.
Like yesterday?
Yeah.
So did you guys get out and form your own scooter gang while you were there?
That's one of my biggest regrets is that we did not. We did never have scooters.
Okay, so look, I can't go buy a scooter, but I did make sure to clean the white walls of my Adidas while I was there, just to make myself look that much fucking cooler.
Right.
Because, King Penguin's got to look cool.
So where I worked, it made a little bit of a difference. But where I lived, God damn it, Like, no, man. People just think I'm fucking balling because I can keep my shoes white.
Right.
Look, yeah, I'm with them because I can't own anything white because I just won't. It won't.
Oh yeah, man.
So I'm just clumsy in nature, but
yeah, me too. I was using the toothbrushes that they would give us every night from the hotel room and the shit toothpaste to clean my shoes every day so that I could just stunt on them by having white on my shoes. Man, I didn't shower for a week, but
but God damn it, I had white shoes.
You didn't want him to
yeah,
get a
that's the way it went.
Man.
So,
Got whiskey on my breath and fucking stank on my tits. But I got white shoes.
Side note story. There was like this area by where we were staying that like you could walk through it, and it was like like a market where they were selling produce and stuff. And so we were just walking everywhere trying to check out the neighborhood, and we somehow ended up in this like back alley behind the market where there were all the animals, and there was like there was like a chicken butchering cart that had like chicken meat and then live chickens right next to it, and they were just all hanging out, and the chickens had no idea, and there were like goats and cows and everything, and I'm like walking around like looking at all this stuff, and I like had this really clowny, cartoony moment, like where you slip on a banana peel or something, except instead of a banana peel, it was a big soft pile of shit. So I like almost ate shit on some actual shit in this like secret like cow and goat row behind the market, and I think it was really entertaining for everyone there. To see like these weird looking foreign people walk around and like almost eat shit on some shit. And that was my favorite clowning act of the trip.
did you guys ever go out in public in clown gear and do like some street performance type stuff?
Street performance, no, but out in public in clown gear, a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, so usually if we were like doing a show at night, sometimes we'd get into makeup early, or like if we went out after the show, then we'd just still be like however we were from that night. So we got some weird conversations. It was like, it's always fun to go out as a spectacle, especially if people don't expect it, and you're just like this big group of people who look weird as fuck and are all like done up in some kind of thing, and everyone just turns around and they're like, what?
I can imagine.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Kind of magical, man.
Right. You hear lots of great things about India in that way, that that the people are very hospitable and very kind, but I can imagine,
very friendly.
Yeah. Having a few folks that don't look like they quite belong there must be, a little bit of a shock to them. So I could imagine they would be like, what is going on here?
Yeah, everyone was really, really nice, and they'd want to like ask us questions or take pictures. Like it was a joke, like everyone would come up and be like, one selfie, that's what they'd say. And so you had all these people like, one selfie? And so we take selfies with them and like wave, and it was weird.
That's
it was
crazy.
Really, it was fun though. It was really cute.
That's cool.
That is pretty cool.
It would say one selfie, and then after you got done, they would say, which country? Which country? Which country?
And you said Antarctica.
I don't exist.
Oh man, should have.
Next time you go back. Or you should have said Snake City, bitch. So
Oh man, that's great.
Y'all are ridiculous.
Well, that's cool, man. Well, that's, I mean, it's cool to travel to places that you are the odd man out, because it really gives you perspective on things. And seeing a country like that with your feet on the ground really does, like, you're experiencing that culture. And I've always, when I traveled, I always really enjoyed doing that, getting out on my own and just trying to figure it out, because it's a lot of fun, but you got to be careful too, because you never know what you could run into. Like you were saying before, the crazy guy that was driving around that you just met, and now you're in a situation where, oh my God, what is going on here?
Yeah.
It's crazy. I was in South America once, and a riot broke out, and I didn't know what to do. It's like, I guess we fend for ourselves here, but yeah, it's crazy stuff, man. But good. It's great to do that. And do you guys have anything like that's coming up? You're going to be able to travel anymore like that? Do you know? Is that on the radar?
Well, I don't know. We don't have anything planned like right now, but it just kind of seems like these gigs just pop up last minute. So we're not sure, but hopefully there'll be something else. I'll go as many places as they send us.
Right.
See how it goes.
Yeah.
We've got a whole shitload of the Americas coming up.
Good.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do some like touring in the States in April and May, so we may be coming soon to a city near you.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
No, for real, we're coming to your city.
Oh, really?
Both of you.
Oh, good. Great.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see you guys.
That'd be great.
There.
Yeah, well, let us know when you do that. Hit us with your dates, and we'll promote them, put them up there for you guys. But
thanks.
Yeah, and thank you guys for coming back.
When are you going to be able to come to us?
Well, we'd love to do that. Where are you? I mean, you don't have to give out your coordinates.
We're in that secret spot in North Carolina.
Right.
But if you want to come down and record a podcast, I've been trying to start my own podcast.
Oh, yeah?
Called Peanut Butter Jams in that secret spot in North Carolina.
Cool. Do you have any?
Hey, man.
Do you have any recorded yet?
Yeah, I've got a few.
Cool.
I'm waiting to. I've got a few ready to go.
With what you guys do, man, you could fucking have all kinds of crazy people on, man. You know what I mean? You could have, promote that at your shows and shit, man. I mean, you could gain a following pretty quick, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great idea, and there's really no reason for us not to do that, because we have the time and we go places, and like, it's one of those ideas that's been tossed around before a little bit, and then sometimes it's just hard to keep up with it. But like the peanut butter jams that he's doing is really awesome. It's like different musicians and stuff playing in this really awesome decorated area in his RV, and so like it, different people jamming out in the same location.
Sweet. Cool. So you can
that's really cool.
You can have a mobile studio, basically, right? I mean, that's kind of because that's
the plan.
That's even easier,
that's awesome.
man. Yeah, that's cool.
And that's a good way to being mobile. I mean, that's a good way to be able to keep having people in, but that's also an interesting aspect to talk to people, have them come in and join you in your place and play. It's like what is it? NPR does that tiny concert, but even that is not the same. That's they call it tiny concert, right? But it's really it's a studio, and then people, I mean, my friend's been on it and
clearly casted.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, they've got big production value on that tiny concert thing, but doing it raw, like you probably will be, that'll be cool, man. Yeah. We'll definitely, once it's up and running, let us know as well, and we'll definitely promote the fuck out of it, and you can even do a promo, and we'll play that as well. So, and this episode will be out on St. Patrick's Day. Shit. So I figured that would be fun. But yeah, if you
the Irish Freak on St. Patrick's Day.
That's right.
He's not really a penguin, I promise.
Oh man,
that's your day.
I hope you make me look good.
Yeah. Well, of course, Your Highness.
Or sound good?
How could we not make the king of all penguins?
Y'all are ridiculous.
Hey, everybody, you're listening to the What's Your Weird Story podcast. You probably knew that already because you're listening or downloaded to the episode off of your iTunes or your Spotify or whatever place you get your podcast from. We want to thank you for listening. We also want to remind you to like us, follow us, subscribe to us, make sure that you get your new podcast episode every week. We'd also like to ask you to rate and review so that we can grow our audience, we can have more friends, we can have more stories. So thanks for listening to What's Your Weird Story. How about this real quick before we go? Your crew, because you have a very diverse crew that you're running around with. So, you know, you had a couple of clowns and yourselves and the Irish freak and slash king of all penguins. And I'm making that happen, by the way.
Yay!
Everybody, after you listen to this, go find Cutthroat Freak Show and hashtag King of All Penguins.
It's the thing now.
But so you had you guys, and then you had some the European performers, and so like so tell us a little about them as well, because I know again from following your adventures on the social media, you had some interesting friends.
Yeah. So the first people that came over, there were two go-go dancers who were from Russia, but they were living in India already, like down in Goa. So I think it was like only an hour for them to fly over and perform. So like they were the first people that we met, and they were really nice. And then like after they went back, there was a burlesque dancer from Italy and a drag queen from LA. And those were the other people that we were performing with. So it was a really fun mix of people. Like I liked everybody that they brought in to do shows with. It was a really good crew, and it was like a little melancholy when we all had to go home and say goodbye, because we had so much fun together, like over that short time of just like kind of living and working together.
Sure.
But yeah, it's not always that way though. Sometimes you get along with people like more than others, and this was like everyone got along, which was really good.
That's awesome. I
got along with everybody.
Yeah.
Awesome. So would you say it's a fairly conservative culture over there?
On the surface?
Yeah.
Conservative on the paper surface.
So were you able?
As soon as you get there, it's fucking fine. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
So you were able to bring the freak out in some people, is what you're saying.
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
I said you were able to bring the freak out in some people.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's
and I didn't want to all that much because I wanted to save it for the game.
right.
But I had to just go like sit outside and smoke, and there was two different patios that I could smoke on. The front one where everybody can see it, or the back one where all the kitchen people can see it. And I did shit for both of them. Like I was out there lifting bullshit with my eye sockets and juggling, like trying to fucking figure out what I was about to do for the actual show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everybody was down. It was fucking rad.
Yeah, he's out here doing some porch party warm up stuff for like some kind of like Bollywood actors that would come in and everything. But of course, we had no idea who like the celebrities were over there. But apparently, we like made friends with some of them, and then people would come up later and tell us like, "Oh, do you know who that was?" And we were like, "No, tell us." So like, yeah, I think
That's
we
cool.
did some impressive stuff by accident, or maybe like without realizing what it was, which was kind of exciting.
That
is cool.
That's awesome. Sweet.
Did you do the eye socket lifting in the regular show, in the dinner theater? Because I could see where that could go either way, as far as the delicate stomachs of the crowd.
I did do the eye socket weightlifting with every single show.
Wow.
And it was always dinner theater.
That's
because they had like restricted me just a little bit, and that was the one that hit the hardest.
Yeah.
So
imagine.
the audience still loves that.
It's a sight to behold. I mean, it's pretty.
Yeah,
cool.
the audience still loves it. Like some of the other shit that I do, I understand. I'm not supposed to pull my dick out. But my eye sockets, it's gross, but it doesn't get me fired.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Right.
I do that every time.
Nice.
And how about, and Scarlett, what was part of your regular routine?
Oh, they made a really big, beautiful ladder of swords. So I used that, and that was like the biggest, most like flashy prop. But they didn't have any machetes or anything over there like I usually use, so they just had to like make them out of stuff. So I think it was like kitchen knife handles on like these pieces of metal that were really shiny, that were like shaped like swords. It was really cool. So I did that, and then they had made us a bed of nails, and so like we would take turns doing things on that. Like, he would lay on it, and I would stand on top of him and put a mousetrap on my tongue, and then like, excuse me, I would lay on it, and he would shoot like grinder sparks into my mouth, and like, so we had this whole little bit that is not usually part of the show, but we just like made it up because we were there and we had some props. We were like, okay, so this is what we're doing now.
That's cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're doing the grinder stuff in the inside as well.
Yeah, there was like a lot of debate over whether we could do that or not, because it was like no fire at all. And so we really had to try to convince them that like there's no possible way that we're going to set your club on fire with these sparks. And even then they were like, don't shoot it up, like only shoot it down at the floor. So like we were kind of limited with that. And then like the only thing that they couldn't really figure out how to make for whatever reason was a grinder belt. And they kept like trying and getting it wrong and like in really weird ways. And so we never ended up having a grinder belt. So like Jeremy was just using an axe and like grinding off of that and shooting it at me or like, down at the floor or whatever. But that was originally supposed to be one of my acts that they wanted me to do, but it just like kind of never came together quite right. So we just ended up doing something different with that.
That's cool. That's cool that you guys can.
That's cool. I mean,
change things as you need to.
Yeah.
I was doing the balloon. I was doing the balloon swallow too, and that seemed to go over okay because it wasn't too gross, and it was kind of like a cool magic trick. Like, where does it go? And everyone was like, what? And then like a lot of just dancing and being a character and just being there, and like because I didn't want anything too extreme, so I'm like, okay, I'm just window dressing, kind of.
Right.
I'm gonna do something pretty and classy and like not really get too weird with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. That's cool. Play to your audience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that just means that we've had the weird stuff like building, and so this tour might get even more ridiculous because we weren't able to be weird that much over the winter. So now we've got that. Yeah,
the pent up weirdness.
Explode.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Did you meet any local performers that were any kind of like while you were there to do similar type things or anything like that?
Oh yeah. Outside of the job we were doing, we met a dude that is a human beatbox, and he lives like a 30-minute drive, which is probably like 1 mile away from the venue that we were at.
Right.
He showed up he showed up at the Pigeon Porch Party in Shacktown, and that was where we met him. And we were supposed to hang out at some point, but like it never came together with schedules to do it. But like he gave us a little like demo of some of the stuff he did. And then you met like a stand-up comedian and a card magician too?
Oh yeah. But that beatbox is the main motherfucker. The card magician, he's good, but that beatbox is better.
Cool deal. Awesome. Well, guys, this has been great fun, and I've really enjoyed it. Like I said, I've been looking forward to it. Yeah. And you are free to come back at any time. Just hit me up.
Oh, man. We told you some shit we might not show them.
It's okay.
You're half the world away now.
It's good.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
And the girl, the babysitter girl, she picked up the phone, and there was a policeman on the other side, and he said, "We've tracked the phone call, and it's coming from inside the house."
Whoa.
Yeah, dude.
I love those urban legend stories.
Dude, I do too. And you remember the one where the girl, it's always the babysitter or it's the kids making out in Lover's Lane, but there's the one with the girl who comes up and she finds the kids are watching TV and she turns them around and their face has SpaghettiOs.
Oh, man. Or the Hook guy. Remember the Hook guy?
The hook was hanging from the rear view mirror. Yeah. So if you got a story that is similar to any of those awesome urban legends, we want to hear it. Because, those urban legends, man, they started off as somebody's true life weird story. It's got to be true somewhere. Dude, again, Scarlett and Jeremy, thank you for joining us. You guys have... Your whole life is weird in its own beautiful, wonderful way. So thanks for sharing your adventures. Definitely check them out. Follow them on Instagram, Cutthroat Freak Show and Scarlet Storm, and because they're going to be touring coming up soon, I think. So just follow them. You can check out a bunch of pictures from their Indian adventures that they just described. So,
yeah, dude, crazy. I've never been to India, man, but I'd love to go. I'd love to go.
Yeah. I would too.
It's just it's one of those areas where I think if you're looking for a good adventure, India is a place you're going to find that. It's just one of those spots, man, where it's just like there's so much history there, and it's so cool, and and to experience the way that they experienced it is valuable. It's invaluable because you don't get that opportunity. Oftentimes when you're traveling, you're in a hotel room and you don't sometimes venture out. Although I try to if I'm ever in that situation, but really cool. And I can imagine that they were just looked at like, who the hell are these people that look so crazy? That aren't like me.
Well, yeah, because. Because one, they're Westerners, and two, they're covered in tattoos and they got crazy hair, and and half the time they're dressed as clowns, and the other half the time they're just dressed as clowns without the face makeup on.
Yes, yes, for sure. I remember I traveled to Japan. I've been there a couple times, which is amazing, and I will say that it's probably one of the coolest places you can go because it's just such a different, culture. And that was one thing that struck me too, is because you're such a different type of a person that lives there, that they're like super excited. At least my interactions where people were super excited to see a white person, in their part of the world, and it was like, it's just a weird, crazy thing. And, I can't imagine like being somewhere in a homogenous sort of culture, and then you're seeing somebody that is like so different, you know what I mean? Not only, what they look like color of their skin, the way that they, appear, but like now you're thrown into the mix that like they got this crazy looking hair and like, they're tattooed up, and it's like just not what they're used to seeing. So It's really cool, man. Anybody, we've talked about this before, but if you ever get a chance to travel somewhere outside of your comfort zone, please do it, because it teaches you so much about yourself and about the world.
And that's, one of the things that, we need. The understanding of other cultures is so enriching, and it also just broadens your mind, and it broadens you to understand how people live in other ways, and that's how they do it, is their way of doing it, and it's just, I don't know, it's fascinating, man.
It is.
It's one of my favorite things, cultural studies. I love it, and I wish that I had traveled more in my life, and hopefully get to do some traveling more in the future if we survive the plague.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. As we're talking, the CDC has declared the coronavirus as a worldwide pandemic. So maybe you don't want to travel right now, but once we get through this, these few months,
or if you're extra adventurous, I mean, really now is the time to get a hold of those flights.
No kidding.
People are not getting on airplanes, they're not traveling and
that's
stuff.
True.
And that's one of the things that does suck about what's going on. I mean, besides obviously people are getting sick and dying. But it's just, it's because we have such knowledge of it, of what's going on, and we can transmit information so quickly. It's made everything, it's coming to a halt. It's making the entire world come to a grinding halt. Whereas the last time we had a big epidemic like this, or at least one that the people talk about a lot, was the Spanish flu, and that was in, I think, like 1918 to 1920. It was right after World War I, and it spread all over the earth, and it killed a ton of people.
Yeah,
and that took longer to get around, and it took longer to tell people about it, and in the long run, it probably killed more people because of it, because there was not enough good information, and information didn't travel fast enough. But of course, you also have to have good information. So listen to the CDC and listen to
the people that know what they're talking about.
Reliable sources.
Right.
People who are doctors and scientists.
Right.
To give you that information. So
yeah, man.
But yeah, man. International travel. If you can experience it, go for it. It's awesome.
Do it. So yeah.
Thanks again to our guests for coming on, and we look forward to talking to you guys again, because, man, like I said, just, they're just living is weird for most of us.
Yes.
Their everyday average is weird for most of the rest of us. So that's why we love talking to them.
Absolutely.
And of course, it's not so weird to, such cultured people such as you and I, Mr. Johnston.
Oh, of course.
But,
well, we are refined, as it were.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, my wife is laughing at me right now.
Yeah, it's starting to smell here. So. Hey, cool. Join us again next week, everybody. We'll be talking to another return guest, my buddy Micah.
Oh, great!
And Micah came on. He and his buddy Gary were on last year, and they had some great stories of their adventures. Micah's come back, and he's got some cool stories. And one of the reasons that we like talking to Micah, and that you will hear in the episode, is that our conversations are never dull. They're entertaining. Micah is incredibly intelligent and well-versed on any number of things. Our conversations just wander around and around and around and change subjects so often, and it's just fun.
It's great.
And it's always just a good time. So that's one of the things that to look forward to, is like, a couple of weird stories, and then just a good weird conversation.
That's right. I wouldn't have it any other way, man. We love having Mike on, for sure. Yeah. So come back next week, guys, and we'll do it again.
Yeah, and in the meantime, and we really mean it, be safe.
Be weird.
As always, if you have a weird story, we want to hear it.
If you have a lot of them, we want to hear them all.
We can't do this podcast without your invaluable contributions.
Whether it's sharing your stories,
listening,
rating,
and spreading the word about the podcast. Thanks for listening. Until next time. Be safe.
Be weird.
The stories presented on the What's Your Weird Story podcast are, to our knowledge, true experiences that our guests have had. We can't take the time to research all claims made in the